Hey gang, so on lesson 10.1, we worked with customary length, and now in lesson 10.2, we're going to take a look at customary capacity. Okay, and capacity, remember, um, has to deal with how much of um, the amount that a container can hold. Okay, so and this I think is one that if you don't use it a lot, you know, it's one that you sometimes can forget. But I think with the picture of the big G that I showed you, and then using the pints and the quarts and the cups inside of that big letter G, I think that really is going to help you if you can remember that big G. So I'm going to show you how to use that with this lesson. Our central question for this one is how can you compare and convert customary units of capacity? All right, so let's take a look at our problem, our first problem here. Mara has a can of paint with 3 cups of purple paint in it. She also has a bucket with a capacity of 26 fluid ounces. So will the bucket hold all of the paint Mara has? Okay, so what are we looking at here? They want to know, will the bucket hold all the paint? Okay, so what capacity does Mara need to convert? So we need to look at this. She has cups, and the capacity of the bucket is in fluid ounces. So we need to convert the 3 cups to fluid ounces. Okay? After Mara converts the units, what does she need to do next? So after she's done, we then need to compare it because we need to know if that amount of paint is going to fit within that bucket. So we need to compare. So first things first, let's go ahead and um, do some of our conversions here. So the capacity of a container is the amount the container can hold, which we just talked about. Now 1 cup, and they want to know how many fluid ounces. What I did is I put this on each of these. Um, I mean, that's something, like I said, you're going to have to memorize. And if you don't use this a whole lot, those of you who cook and bake, and um, you might be using that for your recipes and things if you need to convert things, if you're um, doubling a recipe, for instance, something like that. Okay, so 1 cup is actually equal to 8 fluid ounces. All right, so what we're doing is we're taking 3 cups and we want to know how many ounces it is. Equals how many ounces. Okay, so once again, at the top of this, I did put the same thing. Larger units to smaller units, you're going to multiply, and a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to divide. So if you are doing cups to fluid ounces, you are going larger to smaller, so you're going to multiply, which is why they have a multiplication symbol here. So her total cups was 3, and then we said that in 1 fluid ounce, 1 cup, there were 8 fluid ounces. So then 3 times 8 would equal 24 fluid ounces. So that 24 would go up here. All right, so now we need to compare. Her 3 cups equals 24 fluid ounces, and that is less than the 26 fluid ounces of the bucket. So since 24 fluid ounces is less than 26 fluid ounces, oh, that's terrible S. Mara's bucket, it's going to hold all the paint. So it will hold paint. Okay, and I did include this picture on here from the slide presentation just because, once again, I think it helps for you to get the picture of each of these in your mind so that when you're comparing, you can tell if you're going from larger to smaller or smaller to larger. Okay, so let's move on to the next page here. Now, in this example, they have you converting, um, have you dividing a couple of different times. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. I'll show you the way they have here, and then I'm going to show you an easier way. At least I think it's a little easier for me anyway. So let's take a look. We have Coral made 32 pints of fruit punch for a party. She needs to carry the punch in 1 gallon containers. How many containers does Coral need? Okay, now remember, once again, to convert a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to divide. Sometimes you may need to convert more than once, and that's what they're having us do here, because we're doing 32 pints and they want to know how many gallons that is going to equal. So they have us write an equation. Our total pints would be 32. And then we said we're going to divide. Now, if we go up here and we look at the chart that's up here, and you check, there are 2 pints in a quart. So you would have to divide by 2 here. Or equal sign. That's going to give us 16. And then, so we need to then take that 16 because we're still not where we need to be with our gallons yet. We need to take our 16 and we now need to divide by how many quarts are in a gallon. So if we look at our chart, there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon. So you then need to divide by 4, which is going to give you a total of 4 gallons. So that means she's going to need 4 1-gallon containers to carry that punch. Now let me just show you, let me move this up here so that you guys can see it. I'll bring it up. Maybe I'll bring it up if it cooperates. So I'll bring this big G up here so that you can see it. Okay, now this helps me to remember. So if I want to convert something, I can write this big G. I can put 4 Q's inside of it for 4 quarts in a gallon. And then within each quart, I would put 2 pints because there's 2 pints in a quart. And then within that pint, I would put 2 C's for cup. Okay. So for this problem, I think it's easier if you look at, okay, so we have 32 pints. We know we're going to be dividing because we're going to gallons. But what I do is I look to see how many pints are in 1 gallon. So if I look at this picture quickly, I can say here's 2 pints, 4, 6, 8. So there are 8 pints in 1 gallon. So then you would just take 32 and divide by 8, and that gives you 4 gallons right away. So I just think it's a little easier for me to do it that way. That's up to you. I really think the picture is very helpful. Let me bring it back down so that I can, when we do these problems down here, I can use it. Getting all confused with where I'm moving my gallon. Okay, let me just bring this up so we can see it. Now, so here they want us to use the picture. So they have this picture here, and you can use the big G again too. Use the picture to complete the statements and convert 3 quarts to pints. Okay, so what they're saying is how many pints are in 1 quart. So once again, for me, it's just easier to look at this picture, and I can quickly see that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. And then it says 1 quart is what then 1 pint? Well, this picture helps for that, I think, because if you have 1 quart, it's actually going to be more than 1 pint. So it's greater than. So then go back to our original then. 3 quarts is going to equal how many pints? So we know we're going from quarts to pints. So we're going to have to multiply. Okay, and then you're going to multiply by 2 because how many pints are in a quart? Well, right here, there's 2 P's and 1 Q. So you just multiply by 2 and you get 6. So it's 6 pints. All right, move this guy now. Let's try a couple more. Maybe. Get up here. All right, so here, if we were going gallons to pints, so your larger to smaller, which means you're going to have to multiply. So what I do then is I think to myself, all right, how many pints are in 1 gallon? All right, so let's look again, which we just talked about that in the other one. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So there are 8 pints in 1 gallon, but we want to know how many there are for 3 gallons. So you just multiply by 3, and you'd get 24 pints. Okay, so now the next one, we're doing quarts to pints. Okay, so once again, we want to know, now we want to know how many pints are in 1 quart. So if you take a look, how many pints are in 1 quart? There's 2 because there's 2 P's inside the cube. So 2. Now we want to know how many there would be in 5 quarts. So just multiply by 5. And there are 10 pints in 5 quarts. All right, well, the last one. Okay, we have 6 quarts and we want to take it to cups. Okay, so we want to see how many cups are in a quart. So remember, look at your letter Q. Now look inside. They're kind of small on this picture, but you can still see there are 2 C's inside of a pint. So there's 2, 4. So there are 4 cups in 1 quart. So then you're just going to do 6 times that 4. That's going to give you 24 cups. I think this way, using this picture in my head, and I can draw it out too. So I think that is much easier than having to come up here and do multiple steps. Now, whatever way is best for you is fine with me. I'm just showing you what I think is a little easier because this can be pretty tricky. Okay, I put it up here again for us so we could check it out. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video right now and try number 5, 6, and 7 on your own. And then when you're done, come back and see if you got them correct. Okay? So hopefully you paused, you took a moment and tried these problems on your own. I'm going to go over them here so that you can see if you got your answers correct. So now we're converting 38 cups to pints. So when you're going cups to pints, you're going smaller to larger, which means you're going to divide. So we had to take our 38 and we were dividing by 2 because there are 2 cups in 1 pint. Okay, and if you did that, you should have gotten 19. All right. The next one is 36 quarts, and you need to put it to gallons, convert it to gallons. So once again, you're going quart to gallons. So you're going smaller to larger, which means you're going to divide. And you need to look and see how many quarts are in a gallon. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 quarts of gallon. So that's going to give us 9 gallons. All right. So then the last one over here, once again, now we're going fluid ounces to cups. So we are going smaller to larger again. So we know we're going to divide. And now here, you're going to divide by, this one you kind of have to remember. This is in this picture up here. There are 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. And that isn't really on this big G picture. So, but I think that's something fairly simple that you can remember, that there's 8 ounces in 1 cup. So if you divide by 8, you should have gotten 13 cups. Okay. Hopefully this big G was helpful. I know it is helpful for me. You certainly can take some time and practice 8 through 13. Um, when you're done with that, you can go on to GMM and request the assignment, and then I will allow it so that you can practice it. I have included the Big G picture on the slide presentation, so you might want to have that handy when you are working on your GMM problems, okay? If you need any help, remember you can come see me on Wednesdays and Thursdays for our Google Meets at 11 o'clock. You can join using code HOMOMATH.